Paano maging diplomat sa panahon ni Presidente Duterte?
It depends on how you look at it. Ano. Ako, I did vote for the president, but I'm approaching it with an open mind.
Meron ba tayo talagang matatawag natin genuine na freedom of the press dito sa ating bansa?
The media is under attack in a different form right now.
Alam mo ba itong malaking game plan na ito?
Ang pinaka-point ng lahat ay concentration of power.
Paano ka na nahubog bilang isang artist?
Mas lalo ako na-inspire. Dapat isay pala is the soul.
Yeah.
The culture, the arts.
Kung wala tayong dollars, wala mangyayari sa bill.
Dagdagan pa yung budget for this free education law.
Ulok, korap, wala siyang pakialam dyan. Kailangan dito kayo sa akin.
Hindi pera ang kailangan para ibalik ka sa pwesto ng mamamayan kung hindi performance.
Build up a civilization of love and a culture of life.
Ang punot dulo ng bawat usapin ay ating lilinawin. Mga aktibong personalidad sa ating komunidad, mapapribado man o opisyal ng pamahalaan. Dito bibigyang linaw ang mga kwento nais malaman ng ating mga kababayan sa ngalan ng katotohanan. Tayo ng mag-one-on-one kasamang isa sa mga kasalukuyang senador ng Republika ng Pilipinas at isang re-electionist sa darating na halalan. Walang iba kundi si Senator Joseph Victor Gomez Ejercito o mas kilala sa tawag na Senator JV.
Ipinanganak at lumaki sa dating bayan ng San Juan sa Metro Manila noong 1969 si Joseph Victor Gomez Ejercito na kilala ngayon bilang Senator JV. Taong 2001 nang pasukin niya ang politika matapos maihalal na alkalde ng San Juan City. Makalipas ang 3 termino, naging kinatawan ng Lone District ng syudad si Ejercito noong 2010 bago manalo bilang senador noong 2013. Sa nalalapit na eleksyon, muling susubok si Ejercito na makasungkit ng pwesto sa mataas na kapulungan. Ano nga ba ang mga bitbit niyang mga programa at plataporma? Ano-ano ang kanyang mga pananaw tungkol sa napapanahong usapin sa ating bayan?
Senator, welcome po dito po sa Central Luzon.
Yes, Ma'am Sonia, good morning. Magandang umaga po sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Central Luzon at it's nice to be here. It's an honor and privilege to be speaking sa ating mga kababayan dito po sa Central Luzon.
Maraming salamat po. Natatandaan nyo, nang una kayong tumakbo sa Senado, kayo
Opo.
ay unang pumasyal.
Opo.
Dito po sa aming estasyon at
Tama.
kami nagpapasalamat sa inyo, Senador.
Yes.
Alam nyo, inaabangan kayo ng mga taga Central Luzon pagkat siyempre, though may nagsasabi masyadong parochial ang concerns namin sa lokal,
Opo.
pero hindi ho maiwasan pagkat madalas naman talaga ay sa Imperial Manila na pupunta yung mga rekurso ng ating pambansang pamahalaan. Pero pumunta muna tayo sa lighter side.
Opo.
In fact, napanood ko yung isang interview sa inyo ng aking kaibigang si Mel Chanco doon sa inyong bahay. Na kayo pala ay may normal childhood. Yan ang una kong gustong itanong.
Well, siyempre ako po pinanganak ako 1969. No? That was the year that si Mayor Erap din, tumakbo siya 1967, kaya lang natalo siya. Tapos nag-file siya ng protesta. Noong 1969, nagkaroon na ng favorable ruling in his favor. Kaya siya po ay na-proclaim as Mayor of San Juan 1969. So, yun po yung history kung bakit ang pangalan ko ay Joseph Victor. Alam niyo naman, open book naman ang buhay ng aking ama. No? Marami kami magkakapatid, iba't ibang kulay, iba't ibang anyo.
Ilan nga kayong magkakapatid, Senator?
Well, yung huling bilang 14 eh. Niloloko nga namin siya no kanyang 80th birthday. Baka may darating pa, sabihin mo na. So, open book, we joke about it.
Yes.
Pero siguro ang naging pagkakaiba ko siguro, iba-iba kami. Ako yung natira po hindi ako natira sa village, no? Kumbaga natira ako sa San Juan, sa normal na kalye. Kaya po, ang naging barkada ko nung una, yung mga kapitbahay ko. No? Tapos noon, yung mga ating mga kababayan, kahit yung mga anak ng may hirap. No? Patintero, tumampreso, shato, lahat ng klaseng laro, fishballs, naku, hilig-hilig ko dyan. Kumbaga lahat ng normal na pinagdadaanan na experience ng isang bata ay napagdaan ako dahil nga ako'y laman ng kalye nung ako'y bata. Pag walang pasok, from 8 a.m. hanggang 8 p.m. ay nasa kalsada po ako. In fact, hinikwento nga ng mami ko, minsan daw nakita ko nung lola ko, si Doña Mary, nung buhay pa. Tinawagan daw siya, Iya, nakita ko si JB doon. Ang dungis. Hindi mo yata pinaliliguan. Sabi niya, ma, kapapaligo lang ho niyan. Kaya lang, sadyang malikot yung bata. So, yun po yung aking naging childhood. In fact, nakipagsuntukan ako sa mga bata rin. Nakipagbisikleta, nakipaghuli, nakipag-text. So, siguro yun ang nag-expose sa akin sa buhay sa kalye, buhay sa barangay. No? After naman ng childhood ko, nung nag-teenage naman ako, nahilig ako sa basketball halos hapon-hapon. Ako'y bumababa doon sa aming barangay sa basketball, nakikipaglaban. Talagang patay kung patay, para lamang sa ice tubig, di ba? So, walang VIP sa akin noon, sa amin noon. At after doon, syempre, doon din ako natutong tumambay, natutong uminom. Nakakatulong sa akin na malaki. No? In my performance as a public servant, nung mayor ako, hanggang ngayon na ako'y senador na
Ang pag-aaral nyo naman, nung mga panahon na yon, nung kabataan nyo, hindi nyo naman napabayaan, ano?
Hindi naman po, kaya lang hindi naman ako kagalingan, no? Average siguro dahil lang napakahirap ng yung aking school noon, one of the sinasabi lang one of the best, no, Xavier School, no? Yung marami sa mga tycoon, mga upcoming tycoon sa inanggaling po diyan. May Chinese at yung math namin sadyang napakahirap. Minsan kapag graduation, siyempre, may mga nagsasabi na medalya, sinasabi ng magulang ko sa akin, nakakaingit sila, no? Kailan kaya kami aakit ng ganyan? Sabi ko nga pa na, pumapasa naman ako, di ba?
But were you involved in extracurricular activities a lot sa school din, o hindi?
Actually, ano lang that time siguro, sports, no? I was into basketball, I was into baseball, softball, football. So, more on that, no? Tapos, nag-scouting din ako. And then, high school, nag-active ako sa CAT, naging officer for a while, and then hanggang nung college, nag-ROTC ako.
What was your favorite subject nung nag-aaral kayo?
PE? Hindi naman.
Pala biro ka talaga, senador, ha?
Hindi naman. Actually, yung social...
Pero hindi masama if it was your favorite subject, right?
My favorite, of course, favorite ko, excited ako dahil mahilig ako sa sports. Pero ang favorite ko noon at an early age napansin ko yung social sciences, no? Yung more on politics, ganyan. Parang nagkaroon ako interest, probably because my father then was already mayor of San Juan. Kaya alam mo naman, natural yun kapag yung tatay mo, idol mo pag bata ka.
That's right.
So probably, yun yung nagkaroon ako ng interest, no? Sciences and social sciences, no? So, kaya yun yung hilig ko sa, siguro yung sa practicality, and then yung sa social sa sciences naman, yung hilig ko sa mga anything that has engines, technology. So probably, bakit ako mahilig sa mga modernization, sa mga transport. So at an early age, parang yun yung favorite kong dalawa. Science, tsaka social science.
Pero
So,
kahit na magkapatid po kayo nang pinalitan yung mayor, did you see any difference in the way things were run when you took over, for example? But that's a reason also why you took up political science in the university nung nag-college kayo, ganun ba?
Opo, pero alam niyo po, after ko mag-graduate, after ko matapos yung college ko sa Lasal, ay napasok na ako sa business kasi inabutan ko, ma'am, yung 1990s, that was the Asian boom, no? Gumanda ang buong ekonomiya ng Asia. At talagang napasok ako sa iba't ibang businesses, no? Una, nagkaroon ako ng experience muna na I work for a distribution company para matuto ako ng experience. Binibenta ko noon lotion, sabon. Nagpupila ako sa Shoemart, sa Robinson, para lang makausap yung purchaser. 3 oras, 4 na oras, nalilipasan ng gutom ko. Natikman ko lahat yun na sa tingin ko nakatulong naman sa akin, no? In my experience. So after noon, after working for several companies, nagkaroon na ako ng business ko, yung real estate naman, na sinuwerte naman ako doon because inabot ko yung Asian boom, no? Na
That's right.
At that time, maghuhukay ka pa lang, nabebenta na eh.
Yeah.
So, sinwerte po ako doon. That's why, hindi na ako maglo-law school sana ako no, eventually. Kaya lang hindi ko na nabalikan dahil gumanda na nga. Sinwerte po ako sa negosyo that time.
At kailan pumasok sa isip ninyo na papasokin nyo ang politika?
Actually, good question po. No? Dahil ako yung galing sa corporate world, galing po
Yeah,
ako sa
that's
pribadong
right.
sector, maganda naman ang business
takbo,
ko.
oo.
Meron ako real estate, meron ako financing, meron ako mga food. Kaya lang, at that time, circumstances probably pushed me. Noong 2000 naman, alam naman na natin nangyari, no? May si President Era pa step down. At that time, yung brother ko, si then Mayor Jinggoy, was about to finish his term. So, wala akong papalit sa amin. So,
Okay.
nung nagkikwentuhan kami, sabi ko sa dad ko, baka ako na lang tatakbong mayor kung walang papalit. Sabi niya, at that time, sabi niya, yung buong media, lahat against us, no? Sabi niya, manalo ka pa kaya? Sabi ko, subukan natin eh, kasi lahat kalaban natin eh, that time eh. Medyo fresh pa. Eh di subukan natin, kung manalo ako, di ibig sabihin, mahal pa tayo ng tao bayan. Kung hindi, di talaga hindi na. So, against all odds, medyo mabigat din yung laban ko. Ako yung napalaban, dating mayor. So, syempre, all the mainstream media were against us that
Yes.
time. Yung tide, kumbaga, against us.
That's right.
So, luckily, nanalo pa rin ako. No? Tsaka, in fact, yung halfway of the campaign, I was not able to campaign. Dahil nagkaroon naalala nyo yung in EDSA 3 na nagkaroon ng gulo.
That's right.
Eh, isa ako sa mga tinitignan leader noong mga panahon na yon. Kaya na-experience ko rin paano maging fugitive. So for more than a month, hindi ako
I
nakakampanya
remember
dahil
that
nagtatago
very,
po
very
ako.
well.
So parang against all the odds ay nanalo pa rin ho ako. So that started my career as a public servant in 2001.
At madali kayong, kumbaga, sa isda, madali kayong nakalangoy.
Well, it was a challenge, medyo mahirap, no, mabigat. Pero sabi ko at that time, naging nag-stimulate na ng growth ng sa akin, ng challenge, no? Kasi sabi ko, sigurado wala akong asahang tulong sa national government. Obviously, I'm one of the faces of the opposition back then. So siguradong hindi kami tutulungan. So we have to survive on our own. Yun yung mentality ko. So, ang ginawa ko noon, yung aking experience sa corporate world, from the private sector, yung pong discipline, I wanted to professionalize the bureaucracy. Sabi ko kasi, para gumanda ang negosyo sa amin, para magkaroon ng investment, para gumanda ang revenue namin, kinakailangan pumasok ang investments. So, para magkaroon ng kumpiyansa, we have to professionalize at ayurisin natin ang bureaucracy. So, ganun
That
po ang
is
ginawa ko.
enshrined in the local government code, right?
Opo, ganun naman talaga. Kaya lang, that time, pagpasok ko nga, syempre, coming from the corporate world to the government bureaucracy, talagang magkaiba.
Pero
So, ito
kahit na
sa-
magkapatid po kayo nang pinalitan yung mayor, did you see any difference in the way things were run when you took over, for example?
Well, that time kasi nung una, nag-uusap kami, tapos, actually, itong, ang inside story siguro, one of the reasons bakit kami nag-worsen yung aming relationship, sa dahilang ako yung pumalit sa kanya, syempre may sarili siyang tao,
That's right.
meron din po ako sarili ng tao, because of the reforms that I wanted to institute, di ba? Gusto kong i-professionalize.
Yes.
Gusto kong ayusin dahil sa corporate world, ma'am, iba eh. Kung ano yung binabayad mo, dapat ganun din ang serbisyo. So, walang 1530, walang ghost,
Yeah.
no? Walang mga political appointees. So, kung gusto mong magtrabaho, ang utak ko, kung gusto mong pumasok dito, magtrabaho ka. Hindi pwede yung 1530.
That's correct.
So, tapos inayos ko yun, nag-computerize kami. That time, 2001, wala pang, would you believe, wala pa hong computer, no? Even the mayor's office. So,
Yeah.
dahil ako yung sanay sa computer, nag-automate kami, no? We
Yes.
embarked on an ambitious automation program. Kaya lang, it would take natapos siya about 2 years din, natapos, no? Dahil, kumbaga, siya special, siya, kung ano yung operation mo, kumbaga base siya doon. So, it took about 2 years. So,
Yeah.
to cut the long story short, ma'am, we started with 300 million. At that time, yung aming po revenue. For Metro Manila standards, it's very small. Maliit yan. Mukhang malaking pakinggan, pero para sa Metro Manila, maliit. So, but
That's
because
correct.
of the professionalization, because of the computerization, because of the efficiency of the bureaucracy, nagkaroon kami ng investor
And
confidence.
the transparency, of
Transparency, nagkaroon ng trust siguro sa leadership. Pumasok ang investments, ma'am.
Lumaki for
Lumaki from
over a
300
billion, right?
Yes po. So from 300 million ay nung last term ko po, umabot na ng 1.2 billion.
Exactly.
So quite proud because even without the support of the national government, kumbaga we did it on our own. We were recognized as the most progressive municipality at that time, nung munisipyo pa kami, bago kami nag-city. Dito ako talaga proud man sa distinction na we were the local government with the lowest poverty incidence in the country. Kumbaga,
For a major urban center to achieve
Opo.
that is something,
Yes.
right?
And I'm quite proud, ma'am, because sabi ko nga, for you to be considered a successful public official, you have to improve the lives of your people. And having the lowest poverty incidence is a proof that we will able to uplift the living conditions of our people. Kaya doon, nung mayor ako, one of the things that I'm really proud of was my state as mayor na talagang naiangat natin yung antas na buhay natin mga kababayan.
So ano yung mga major na mga natutunan ninyo that you want to pass on to those aspiring for public office dito po sa Central Luzon, yung mga magiging bagong mayor o dati ng mayor na kailangan matuto sa tulad ninyo?
Well, malaking tulong sa tingin ko. Sabi ko nga, proud ako dito sa experience ko na ako yung nag-mayor. Iba yung nag-local ka eh. Kausap
Tama.
mo pag mula pinakamataas hanggang sa pinakamababang kawani, mula pinakamayaman hanggang sa pinakamahirap.
Actually, maganda yung dinaanan yung
Opo.
training kung tutuusin.
Kumbaga, ma'am, ako tingin ko pag nag-mayor ka ng 9 years, para ka nag-master's degree at nag-PhD ka.
Exactly.
No, because these are real life experience
Totoo
na
yun.
hindi mo matututunan sa classroom. So, siguro ang tip ko lang kung sakasakali, just think out of the box. Huwag tayo dikahon. Do what you think would improve the efficiency, the operation, and kung ano po yung mga programa na magbibigay ng tiwala, no, yung sa ating mula sa ating kababayan. Transparency, yung siguro yung efficiency nga, yung operations, dapat open ka, transparent ka para magkaroon ng tiwala si liderato. And I would say that yung pong automation, malaking bagay, no? That made us more. Siguro I would consider the success of my being a local official on 2 factors. One is yung ating reforms, binago natin yung mentalidad ng ating bureaucracia. Noong una, galit sila sa akin dahil alam mo naman, change is always met with resistance.
Yes.
Ano daw ako, diktador, Saddam Hussein, lahat na.
I know.
Pero you just have to put your foot down. Tapos nag-think ako out of the box. Siguro dahil tinitignan ko kung bata ako, nung bata kasi ako, 30 lang ako, baka kung ngayon ko ginawa, baka hindi ko nagawa. No? I was willing to take risks. So, siguro my being young, being dynamic, being idealistic,
Yes.
malaking tulong ko
Yes.
in my success as a public servant. So, yun naman. Yung
Suspecha po, iraratsyada yung charter change para sa shift to a federal form. What are your thoughts on this? Kayo po ay reform-oriented.
Apo.
And therefore, you got out of that mold they call the trapo. At the time, you thought perhaps that hindi na uso at hindi na po pwede. We cannot rule in the old way.
Apo.
And you have to be a principled person to be able to get out of that mold, right?
Apo. Well, ma'am, siguro in fairness man, hindi lang naman ako, napansin ko nung year 2000 onwards, marami na ring mga sumibol, marami na ring mga lumabas na mga bata o mga bagong leader na na sila, transformational, no, na
Okay.
hindi na itulad dati na what am I in power for ang mentalidad,
Yes.
no? Marami na rin nakapasok na siguro galing din tulad ko, galing sa corporate world, no, na iba ang discipline, na gusto ng pagbabago. So, kung makikita mo, marami na ng LGUs, makikita mo, nag-usbungan na, talagang iba na rin yung itsura, hindi mo na makikilala yung mga ibang bayan eh, no? So, marami na rin mga pumasok na mga bago na talagang gusto na rin ng reforms, gusto ng pagbabago. I regard to them as transformational leaders.
Pero masaya na ba kayo sa development kung local governance ang pag-uusapan o malayo pa yung kailangan nating lakbayin?
Ang daming problema ng Pilipinas. Sad to say, marami self-inflicted, no? Ang dami pa natin dapat gawin sa local government. Sa tingin ko, kaya gusto ng Pangulong Duterte magkaroon ng federalism to spread out the development, to decentralize Metro Manila o Imperial Manila. Ako naman bilang former local chief executive, former mayor, ang take ko dyan, yung po sa federalism, pag-aralan muna natin. No? Because this will chart our destiny for the next 10, 20, even 50 years. We will change the form of government, we will change the fundamental of the land. So, pag-aralan muna natin. Ang take ko po dyan, whatever ang ating desisyon, kung gusto natin mas maging responsive ang ating pamalaan dahil ayaw na nating iniintay yung over-centralization na inaantay natin ang desisyon ng Maynila, why not empower the LGUs? Sila po ang nasa front line ng government services, no? From health to education to peace and order. So, kung instead of changing the form of government, why not just give a higher share of the budget to the local government units?
Yes.
Kasi sila naman ang sa front line eh.
That can be done without
Opo.
federalism, right,
Opo,
Senator?
sa tingin ko po. So ako naman, yun ang tingin ko as a former chief executive or a former mayor. Ang tingin ko, just strengthen, capacitate, bigger share of the budget of the local government units para mas makarespond sila. Kasi sabi ko, education, health, peace and order, basura, lahat. Ang nag-implement naman is the local government units eh. So, yun po, ang take ko po yan.
Senator, last night I was watching the news and critics are suspecting that Speaker GMA is up to something, no? At ang suspecha po, iraratsyada yung charter change para sa federal, shift to a federal form. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, kasi po the way I see it, sa House kasi may mga statements sila and moves also na pushing for federalism. Kasi understandable because the President is there as an ally, probably ang sa House naman talagang masunurin eh. No? Kami naman sa Senado, we're open, ma'am, kung ano ang makakabuti, kung mapapaganda natin ang sistema ng gobyerno, bakit hindi? Ang sa amin lang, wag nating i-railroad, wag nating madaliin kasi mahirap magkamali. As I mentioned, this will chart our destiny for the next 10 or even 50 years.
That's
So, hindi tayo pwede magkamali. So, pag-aralan natin kung ano ang federalism, anong maraming types yan, maraming forms, kung ano ang babagay sa atin. O better yet, sabi ko nga, yung aking advocacy na transportation modernization, infrastructure development, that will already decongest, decentralize Metro Manila and spread out the development. Baka hindi na natin kinakailangan mag-change ng gobyerno. No? Just by pushing the infrastructure development. And yung kanina banggit ko, kung gusto natin mas maging responsive ang ating gobyerno, we give more power, more role for the local government units being the front line of government service.
Yeah. Senator, nakukuha ko sa inyo, please correct me if I'm wrong, you are not really an avid supporter of federalism.
Meron pa akong apprehensions. No? Let's
Yes.
put it that way. No? Kasi
Yes.
tulad ng mga unang mga questions, baka hindi mag-survive no? ang ilang mga regions.
Yeah.
Sa ngayon, ayon din sa pag-aaral at sabi ng mga experts, only 3 regions can survive on their own. That's Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Region 4A. While the rest ay hindi nakakayanin na mabuhay. So that's one apprehension. Second, sa aking apprehension, we will add more layers of government. Magkakaroon pa ng regional government, regional governor. Kaya alam naman natin, pag may isa pang layer, we are trying to streamline para nga bumabawasan natin ang gastos ng gobyerno. Ngayon, magdadagdag pa tayo. So those are the apprehensions. Kaya marami akong questions na kaya sabi namin, pag-aralan. Hindi ako sarado. No? I want to be clear, hindi po ako sarado sa federalism, but give us time to study no? About kasi nga, hindi mahirap na magkamali because in the next 10, 20, 50 years, ay ito po magiging direksyon natin.
Do you also say the law banning political dynasties as a condition for federalism to be, to be put in place.
Well, I'll be biased, ma'am, no? Although, admittedly, I benefited from a political dynasty. Galing po ako sa isang political family.
Yes.
And I got elected probably. Malaking bagay yung pangalan.
The
yung
Estrada
record.
name.
Opo.
Yeah.
But, ang ano ko kasi, prinsipyo ko, ma'am, nung umabot ng 100 million ang Pilipino, sabi ko sa sarili ko, sa 100 million, marami naman siguro dyan ang pwede maglingkod, gustong maglingkod, kaya maglingkod, may kakayanan, kaya lang, wala silang pangalan, wala silang makinarya, no means of getting elected. So, I'm a believer of giving chance to others, kaya nga dito sa isa sa mga inaipasa kong batas, yung Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Law, for the first time in history that the anti-political dynasty provision will be applied into law. Ako po ang nag-introduce doon. So let us see kung maging successful tayo, kung maganda ang response through the SK Reform Law na in effect na po ang anti-political dynasty, then we can probably pursue it in the bigger political spectrum later on.
Yeah. Where did you get that kind of thinking? You admit that you benefited from, the name of a
Siguro,
high-profile
when I was
political
still-
family.
When I was still studying political science, medyo
Yes.
left of center ang pananaw ko Na parang
Okay.
power, whether economic or political, should be shared. Na walang dapat magmonopolyo. No? Sa tingin ko marami naman may kakayanan, kaya lang wala lang talagang wins of getting elected. So that probably siguro isegue ko na isa sa mga rason kung bakit na hindi kami nagkakasundo ngayon sa pamilya.
Actually, yun ang gusto ko pong
Opo.
itanong talaga, no?
Kasi ang paniniwala ko na 24 lang yung senador 24.
Yes.
So kumbaga elite group kami, ilan na kaming
Exactly,
swerte
exactly.
no, na nabigyan ng ganitong pagkakataon. And two brothers or two members of the family running together, parang taliwas o against doon sa aking paniniwala. We give chance to others. We are running as representatives of the people. We are not running as representatives of the family. So that is the reason why I left the party.
Yes.
Because of differences in principle. Hindi po ako suwail. Mahal ko po ang tatay ko. Hindi ko mababayaran ang utang na loob ko sa kanya buong buhay. Kaya lang talagang minsan-minsan ma'am, kinakailangan ko rin naman tumindig sa aking prinsipyo at paniniwala.
Ang mga naririnig namin, Senador, dapat kayo na yung magpaubaya. Total, kayo naman yung nagsasabi na dapat isa lamang sa inyong
Opo.
dalawa ni Senador Jinggoy. Ang mga naririnig namin, Senador, dapat kayo na yung magpaubaya. Total, kayo naman yung nagsasabi na dapat isa lamang sa inyong
Opo.
dalawa ni Senador Jinggoy ang dapat
Ganun.
tumakbo.
Ma'am, I am willing to sacrifice. I made that sacrifice in 2007. Nasa mataas din I was ranking well in the surveys.
Yes.
Kaya lang for the benefit of the opposition din, nag-giveaway po ako kay Rocco at that time.
That's
no?
right.
So, hindi na ako, sanay na po ako dito. Kaya lang, ma'am, unang-una, maganda naman ho ang performance ko. I think I performed quite well as a senator, being able to pass landmark bills, even recently. At pangalawa, ma'am, wala ho akong sabit Wala akong issue. Diba, ma'am? Wala. I have maintained my record as a public servant, unblemished record as a public
Yes.
servant. At naisip-isip ko rin ho itong, which brings me to another issue. Napansin ko kasi itong advocacy ko na infrastructure development and transport modernization. It seems that I'm the only one really pushing for it.
Yeah.
Wala kayong maririnig sa House or even in the Senate. No? Kanya-kanya silang advokasya. Siguro, hindi maintindihan ng tao. Wala silang makukuha boto. Pero sa tingin ko, itong kinakailangan para talagang umusbong o ma-stimulate economic growth So, yan ang dahilan kung bakit kinakailangan ko pagpatuloy. Dahil we cannot wait any longer. We are 30 years behind in terms of infrastructure development. In 5 years' time, ma'am, kung hindi pa tayo kumilos, Metro Manila and even the Mega Manila area will be a gridlock. Hindi na tayo kikilos. At the rate we are buying cars, 30,000 every month, that's 1 million vehicles in 3 years' time.
That's right.
So, ito po yung nagpupush sa akin na I know I can do a lot more.
What are you
Lalo
planning
po
for
ito.
Central Luzon pagdating dito sa inyong transportation advocacy?
Well, ever since I was in Congress, ma'am, tinutulak ko na itong infrastructure development. Kasi kung titignan mo ang weakness ng ekonomiya natin, bakit to nung panahon ni Pinoy, ang ganda ng tingin sa Pilipinas. Investment grade ratings niyo, Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's.
Okay.
Ang ganda ho ng tingin, yung daang matuwid,
That's right.
'di ba? Ang fight against graft and corruption, good governance, investment grade. Pero saan pumupunta ang investments? Bakit hindi sa Pilipinas? They look at the other way. Saan pumupunta? Sa Thailand, sa Indonesia, sa Malaysia, and now even Vietnam. Na nanggaling sa gera at devastated. Na tayo normally in the top 5 ASEAN power economies. Ngayon po, na-dislodge na tayo ng Vietnam. And we are getting 1/3 of what they are getting as investments. At kung tinitignan ko, sa pag-aaral, karamihan ng sinasabi, it's because of, well, nandun na yung minsan inconsistent policies. Pero more than that, it's the infrastructure. Yung weak infrastructure natin, kumbaga hindi siya conducive for business. No? Dahil yung movement of goods, di ba? Yung traffic, lahat nakakaantala. So, ang tingin ko, we have to address this weakness. We have to address this problem in order for us to get yung kumbaga mag-gain natin yung full potential ng economic growth natin. Gumaganda ekonomiya natin, no doubt, once in a while, no? Kasi malaki yung ating population.
Pero
But
hindi consistent.
hindi consistent at hindi natin nare-reach yung full potential.
Yeah.
Kasi nga, stunted tayo because of the infrastructure weakness natin. So, yan ang tingin ko kinakailangan natin gawin. No, sad to say, ma'am, tayo po ang isa sa pinakaunang nagkaroon ng railway system sa Asia. 1800s, meron na tayong Philippine National Railways. Pinakauna tayo nagkaroon ng LRT. Nauna pa tayo sa Singapore, 1984.
Yes.
So, nauna tayo, pero pinabayaan natin. Self-inflicted wounds. Sad to say, it was neglected, pinabayaan. Naging car-centered ang ating projects. So, napabayaan na talaga hanggat sa talagang nabulok na at hindi na siya epektibo. Now, that's one of the reasons I support the President because of his commitment to spend 8 trillion for the next 6 years for infrastructure development. Sabi ko, baka ito na yung pagkakataon na inaantay natin. In fact, ma'am, on hindsight, panahon ni President Erap, no, I remember, bata pa ako, pero sa Malacanang siya noon, naririnig ko na gusto niya nang gawing primary airport ang Clark because of the physical limitations of NAIA. Ang Clark kasi napakalaki. No? Dapat ito na ang maging primary airport ng Luzon.
That's true.
Tapos ilagay na yung North Rail,
Yes.
pupunta sa Clark, and so on. And that was 1998. Ma'am, 2018 na. 20 years ang dumaan. Nasa na tayo? We are back to square one. That's why, sabi ko, kung magpaparaya pa ako, kung hindi ako tatakbo, sino ang magtutulak sa legislature? No? Kung gusto ko siguro paliwanag sa inyo bahagya, no? Ito po yung kung makikita nyo,
Sige
focus
po.
na lang.
Sige, Senator.
No? Ito po yung proposal ko, no? We create a growth triangle.
Yeah, okay.
We link all the major ports, Subic, Clark Airport, and Metro Manila, and Batangas by rail. Para po yung movement of goods, magkakaroon ka ng growth triangle. So, ma'am, within that growth triangle, Central Luzon, Metro Manila, and Calabar Zone, there alone, you can produce probably 30 to 40 million jobs, including yung existing. Kaya lang, pag gumanda yung economy, yung investments because of the infra, it's a possible growth triangle that could produce 40 million jobs. Now, going to the other railways, kung titignan nyo, that's the original railway lines of the PNR. Kung matuloy po yan, Bulacan, Pampanga, Tarlac, Pampanga, La Union, yung PNR North Line, and also going to Subic, going to Tugigaraw, meron din po yan. And then yung Bicol Express dati, no? Yung going to the Calabar Zone, Southern Luzon, and Bicol area. Ngayon po, ang Bicol Express, pagkain na lang eh. So, hopefully, ma-revive po natin yan. And just look at that, no? Yung pong per province, per station, ito po mangyayari. For every railway station, you can have a potential industrial estate.
Yeah.
You can have a potential commercial area. You can have a potential business district. And also, as a support for agricultural sector, yung pong food terminals. Na kaysa nagre-renta pa ng truck ang ating mga magsasaka, na hirap sila, kaya nag-take advantage ng traders, babagsak na lang nila sa food terminal at isasakay sa tren. So just imagine,
And
ma'am.
you see Central Luzon benefiting from this?
Oh, definitely, ma'am. I think Central Luzon is the next growth area in the next 10 years. Wala na pong space sa Metro Manila, talaga Central Luzon. So, for every railway station, that's a growth development area, ma'am.
And this is in
Yes.
your legislative agenda, Senator.
Opo, it's in the master plan, no, sa
Okay.
atin pong, yun po ang kulang sa atin, ma'am, eh. I want to change also, no, kasi sabi, reform. Because of our political system, ang political leaders natin are looking at the 3-year term and 6-year term. Yung legacy may iwan nila doon.
Yeah.
Wala ho tayo ng long term.
Yeah.
Dapat ang transport development, infrastructure, ang plano niyan, 10, 20, 50 years.
Yeah, but a long term
Diba?
can only happen if you have a vision.
Yan na nga po, ma'am. I'm trying to draft a legislation na because of the political system, na kahit na sino po ang umupong Pangulo o political leaders, we should have a master plan, we should have a blueprint, or a roadmap that we should be following. Na kahit sino umupo, dapat ito yung sinusundan nating infrastructure development.
Yeah.
Kaya tayo napag-iwanan eh.
Yeah.
Wala ho tayo doon.
Okay.
So that's what I am really fighting for now. What I would really want to push. We cannot wait any longer. Kaya yung worry ko, sinabi ko, sumagi sa isip ko, magpasakripisyo na lang kaya ako, hindi naman ako maghihirap dahil may negosyo naman kami sarili, no? Yung mga na-establish ko noon. Ang pamilya ko mabubuhay. Kaya lang, sabi ko, sino magtutulak nito?
Yeah.
No? Sino ang magpupush? And modesty aside, ma'am, I think in Congress, you will never hear anybody speak about infrastructure development or transport modernization as passionate as I am.
But you said you are the better Estrada.
No comment na lang po, baka lalong lumala ang ano.
Yeah. Senator, Speaker Tito Soto described you as one of the most productive senators.
Well, coming from the Senate President, of course, that's it's very encouraging and very heartwarming na manggaling sa aming Senate President po yan.
Yeah. One of your colleagues in the Senate described you as a prolific legislator.
Well, nakakatuwa naman ho na hindi naman ako katalinuhan kahit nung school, nung nag-aaral
But this
pa
is not
ako.
all about academics.
But probably, ma'am, because of my experience as a local
Yeah.
chief executive, I was able to introduce laws or measures that are sensible, na tingin ko practical, na tingin ko kayang i-implement, no?
And somebody said you are the better Estrada.
No comment na lang po, baka lalong lumala ang ang riff namin. Better what? Better looking or better ano?
Senator, yun po mga legacy legislation ninyo ay universal healthcare, the Kasambahay Law, and your housing.
Apa.
Talk about them, please.
Ma'am, 2030, as I mentioned earlier, ang pangako ko sa taong bayan, gusto ko guminhawa ang buhay. No? As I said earlier, you can only be a successful public servant if you are able to uplift the living conditions of your people and improve their quality of lives. Yan ang aking pananaw. Nagawa ko po yun sa San Juan, no, being the lowest poverty incidence. Tinuloy ko na lang po ito sa Senado that I introduced bills that are intended to improve the quality of life. Of course, universal healthcare, alam naman natin, ma'am, na problema talaga ito. Sabi nga sa commercial, bawal magkasakit. Mahal ang doktor, mahal ang gamot, mahal ang ospital. At saka yung mga Pilipino, naging ugali, magpapadoktor, magpupunta sa ospital kung kaya na may sakit na o malala na ang sakit. Di ba?
Tama
Dahil
po.
sa takot.
Yeah.
Sa financial burden po nila.
Exactly.
So, to address that problem, that's the reason why we pushed for the universal healthcare program. We looked at it kung anong pwede natin gawin. So ngayon po, naisa sa batas na. So once passed into law under the universal healthcare program, ay hindi na 80%, hindi na 90% ang coverage ng PhilHealth. Under the universal healthcare program, 100%. Ibig sabihin, bawat Pilipino, kayo ay automatic covered na ng National Health Insurance. Second,
Whether you are working or not.
Opo, there will be two kinds of members. Yung contributory, ito po yung working, whether
Okay.
private or government, continuous pa rin po. That
Yeah.
comprises about 35% of the contributory members. Yung non-contributory, ito po yung mga indigents, yung mga talagang mahirap, poorest of the poor, mahirap, persons with disabilities, and senior citizens na by law, kinakailangan natin i-subsidize. So that comprise about 65%. At ito po yung naging challenge kung saan natin kukunin yung pang-subsidize. So, kukunin po natin yan. Marami magtatanong, napaka-ambitious nung ano mo, nung iyong panukala, paano mo popondohan yan? Tama po. Unang-una, we will get this from present appropriations. So, yung DOH, health assistance, yung medical assistance, yung pong PhilHealth, no, yung kanila pong subsidy. Pagsasamahin na po natin yung PAGCOR po, yung kanilang charity fund and PCSO. So we will now put them under one general fund, the Universal Healthcare Fund. So this way also, we will have a more strategic distribution of assistance. Ngayon po kasi sabog-sabog. May makakakuha sa PCSO, magtiyaga ka lang magpila.
Exactly.
May pupunta ng PAGCOR, may pupunta kay governor, may pupunta kay congressman, may mangungutang.
And you know that by experience as a
Opo.
mayor, right?
Opo, malaking tulong po talaga. Yung aking experience dahil alam ko nangyayari sa ground.
Ganun nga po
So,
talaga.
to sum it all, ma'am, kahit may nakukuhang assistance from different agencies, from the local officials, 55% pa rin po ang out-of-pocket expense sa bawat Pilipino.
That's right.
So, malaki pa rin ho yun. We are targeting to lower it to about 30%.
Okay.
Na ngayon, mataas ang presyo ng kuryente, ng bilihin, inflation. Hopefully man lang, sa aspeto man lang, ng healthcare at medical expenses. Kung mababawasan po natin, malaking kaginhawaan yun sa ating mga kababayan.
Let's go to your housing,
Apo.
your vision for the
Well, ma'am,
Filipino
siguro
people.
nakatulong sa akin yun yung pagiging developer ko. I was into real estate in the 90s, no? Aside from executive housing, meron din ako low-cost or socialized housing. At naging problema talaga nung nabigay sa akin to, yung chairman ng Committee on Urban Planning, nagulat din ako sa backlog, ma'am, 1.2 million ang immediate natin, needs, yung mga danger zones at mga immediate, other immediate needs. And it can go as high as 5 million in 2022 with the present setup. Kasi alam niyo naman yung setup natin ngayon. We have 6 key shelter agencies, Pag-ibig, NHA, National Home Mortgage, Socialized Housing Development, HLURB, each with their own mandate, each with their own projects. Kaya nga kung titignan nyo ang ating mga proyekto, sorry to say, pero chop suey ho siya. Kanya-kanya, may makikita ko kung saan lupalop, sa malalayo, walang master plan. So, para mabago ho ito, matanggal na yung common complaint na substandard, na mabagal ng production, etc. We deem it proper to create a full-fledged Department of Human Settlements or Housing, para pakita rin ng gobyerno na talaga seryoso tayo na lutasin ang problema sa pabahay. Ang ambition ko rito, ma'am, in 20-30 years time, nakakalungkot no? Ang daming squatters sa sariling bayan, pero ang daming banyaga, nandito rin sila. Di ba? In 20 to 30 years time, dapat wala nang tawaging squatters sa sariling bayan. It's an ambitious proposition, pero hopefully kung maging successful tayo so sa operation o sa takbo nitong Department of Human Settlements, then probably that can be attainable.
Yeah, but ambition can only come from vision, right?
Mabuti na ho yung meron tayong goal.
That's right.
I would think mas mabuti na yung meron kang, sabi nila, a journey always starts with a single step.
Yeah.
Mabuti na yung nagsiset ka po ng goals, no?
Yeah.
Sabi ni Denzel Washington, you should always set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, or even yearly goals.
Exactly.
So dapat maganda meron kang ini-establish, no, na target.
Exactly. Senator, alam ko po marami pa kayong mga lalakarin today and kaunti na lang po yung oras na natitira natin sa ating usapan ngayon. Meron lang po kasi mga questions na nanggaling sa atin po mga karehiyon dito po sa Central Luzon na nais kong itanong sa inyo. So yung isa, ano daw po ba ang inyong tindig sa mining na nangyayari sa Zambales?
Well, kasi yung mining nakapagbibigay ng trabaho, no? Kaya lang, ang tanong natin, sulit ba? No? Is it yung the income that is derived from mining, is it proportionate to the destruction of nature? Diba? Nakita naman nangyari sa Zambales, natapyas yung buong bundok, nagbaha yung ilang bayan, no? Natakpan, no? Mukhang yung pang ginamit para doon sa West Philippine Sea. No? So, ako, I'm against mining because I have seen how it has distracted our natural resources. Yung ganda ng Pilipinas, ang ganda ng Pilipinas Nagmumotor po ako. I appreciate the beauty of the country. Kaya lang, nung nakita ko yung mga mining town, even in Mindanao, nadaan ako, sabi ko, ang ganda ng Pilipinas, coastal, nagmumotor. ganda ng dagat, ang ganda ng mundo. Aba, nung napunta kami sa mining town, wala nang green. Kahit isang puno, wala. Tapos yung dagat, brown na rin. Kala mo, Holocaust. So parang, doon ako hindi tumatak sa aking isipan yun. Kaya, from that day on, sabi ko, hindi siguro worth it yung nakukuha natin. After all, karamihan naman ng mga mining provinces, mining towns, mahirap yung mga kababayan pa rin natin.
Pwede ba kayong
Bakit
lapitan
ganun?
ng mga biktima ng mga mining dito
Naman.
sa
Opo. That's
Central
why
Luzon?
I
sa
supported
Zambales?
Gina Lopez back then kasi siya lang ang
I know.
babaeng may balls
I know.
para labanan itong mga mayayaman na mining na ito.
I read a lot about your support for Gina Lopez.
At saka ma'am, dagdagan ko na lang, for Central Luzon, this will be a growth area in the next 5 years because of the infrastructure. I defended dagdag ko na, take advantage kasi CLTV to. Because of my advocacy, I defend the budget of the DOTR, no? I have defended it for the past years, no? Yung pong BCDA. So yung one good news, sabihin ko na rin, magsisimula na yung Manila to Malolos and Manila to Clark railway station, railway system. And then yung pong New Clark Terminal Building, which is a 12 billion facility. Alam ko po yan dahil ako rin ang-defend ng budget nila. From a 2 million annual capacity, magiging 12 million. So, in 2021-2022, pag umabot na yung railway dito sa Clark, pag natapos na yung terminal building, we will now have an honest-to-goodness twin airport system between NAIA and Clark. So, parang haneda-in na narita. So, talagang just imagine, pag yan po'y umabot na ron, yung airport, natapos, yung railway station, just imagine the growth in Central Luzon. Talagang, kung ako sa inyo, bumili na kayo ng lupa, ngayon pa lang. Mukhang marami nang bumili, mahal na nga daw pero this is really the area of growth in the next 3, ngayon pa lang, in the next 10 years probably.
Yun pong balak na pagbuhay dun sa dambuhalang nuklear ng Morong, Bataan. Ano po ang posisyon nyo dyan, Senador?
Alam mo ma'am, kasi kung titignan natin ang weakness ng ating ekonomiya, dalawang bagay. One, if infrastructure, napaliwanag ko na kanina. And second, bakit ayaw pumunta ng mga investors sa atin? Mataas ang presyo ng kuryente. We have the highest rate probably in Asia. Dati second lang tayo, pero ngayon we have the highest rate. Kung titignan natin yung energy mix natin, yung mga sources of energy, bunker fuel, diesel, coal, may renewables tayong konti, meron tayong geothermal, meron tayong liquid natural gas. Kaya lang, ang problema, yung kanilang average cost per kilowatt is about 6 pesos. So kung idadagdag mo pa yung transmission charge, yung kanilang distribution charge, at lahat ng charges, abot ng 12 pesos. Minsan, nagpo-14 pesos pa. So, napakataas yan. And ako, negosyante ako, may manegosyo kami. Bawa, may restaurants kami. 30 or 40% of our expenses is electricity. Yung aircon na, pag tumakbo. Diba? So, ako ma'am, I'm not really, it's a touchy issue, it's a controversial issue. Masyado na demonize kasi ang nuclear power plant, ang Bataan nuclear power plant na it's a Marcos project, it's evil, it's corruption, it's dangerous. So it was demonized through the years. But if you look at the world, ako ay nakatravel ako sa France, sa Japan, lalo sa France, no? In Europe. Ang kanilang energy mix is usually nuclear and renewables, yung kanilang majority. No? Kaya ang mura kong kuryente. Tignan po na natin South Korea, ma'am. Yung twin plant ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is the Cory 1 nuclear plant of Korea, yung unang-una ho nila. That was in the 80s. Ngayon they have 25 nuclear power plants. And Korea now is one of the top manufacturing countries in the world. May iisip mo ba naman na dati, nung bata tayo, pag sinabi mo TV, Sony, Philips, Sharp, may isip mo ba ngayon na LG at Samsung tatalunin ang Japan? Mga cellphone ho natin, ito ho, Samsung, di ba, LG. So, yung cheap electricity, ang ano ko lang dito, ang point ko, because of cheap energy, they were able to industrialize and improve their economy. So ako open ako.
What about renewable energy,
I'm
for
open to it,
example?
ma'am, pero kaya lang, we have to make sure that yung safety precautions are of concern. Of
It will not
nuclear yan.
endanger.
Oh, ma'am, tsaka just additional info, $2 billion po yan, no? That's sayang. Pero kung ano po ang gusto naman ng Bataan, alam ko, province of Bataan are skeptical about it.
Yes.
Kasi nandun sa kanila, kung ang ano nila, gamitin ito for IT kasi sayang naman yung facility.
Yes.
So, but I'm open into exploring nuclear energy kasi Ang China, ma'am, di ba, problema nila because of the coal-fired ng kanilang, yung kanilang pollution, hindi mo na makita yung skyline ng Beijing at Shanghai.
Yeah.
Now, they are building 50 nuclear power plants. So, because of modern technology, probably, let us just reconsider.
Yeah.
Tingnan natin. Of course, safety will be the major concern. Pero ako kasi, ano ba yung isipin natin? Yung nagugutom yung tao? O yung magkaroon tayo ng risk ng nuclear, ngayon, parang hindi na tayo nakakakita naman ng fallout because of modern technology and safety. Ako, mas gusto ko nang maiangat yung antas ng buhay. I'm really concerned. Sabi ko nga, para sabi mong successful public servant ka, dapat yung quality of life, yung standard of living, dapat tumaas.
Hindi niyo pa po ba i-review yung EPIRA law? Baka
Isa pa ho yun
flawed na batas ito.
that was passed noong 2001, no? Na sa tingin ko ay flawed. Magandang intention, no? To encourage competition, no? Kaya i-privatize yung mga power plants, no?
Yeah.
Para mag-competition.
But this has caused problems to us.
Panalo ang consumer supposedly. Ang nangyari, natuloy yung privatization,
That's right.
pero yung pagbaba ng kuryente, hindi natuloy. So, ako, I would like to look into it and review kasi talagang, isa sa talagang aside from infrastructure, ang talagang pumipigil sa economic growth natin is the high cost of electricity.
Yeah.
So, ako, reconsider, let's look what is the best energy mix for the Philippines given the situation. Hindi naman necessarily nuclear, no? Pero kung makakatulong, bakit hindi? Pero let us review and look at what will be the best energy mix for the situation.
Senator, one last question. Ano po yung posisyon nyo ngayon sa train law? Di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Ito yung ina-anticipate ng mga tao, baka lalong mapahirapan ang Pilipino dahil dito sa susunod na mga
Well, admittedly, ma'am, no,
packages.
because of my advocacy for infrastructure development and because of the request of the President, no, talagang ni-request nila ito, I supported trade law. I'm one of the administration senators who supported. But what convinced me was there were two safeguards. No?
Okay.
Una, yung pag nag-$80 ang crude oil price,
Okay.
pwedeng suspindihin. And second, ito po yung nag-convince sa akin na pag nag-breach ng 4% ang ating inflation, ng threshold na 4%, it
Okay.
can be suspended.
Okay.
So, sabi ko, meron namang safeguard. So, kung sakali tumaas, at least pwedeng suspindihin. So, I voted because of that. And because of my infrastructure, gagamit sa infrastructure
Exactly.
Di ba? So, I voted. And circumstances then were different. So, na ngayon, problema, itong taon na ito, hindi naman natin akalain, mag-skyrocket ang presyo ng crude oil price.
Yeah.
Tapos, at I have to admit, I am disappointed because in the BICAM, in the final version, natanggal ho yung second safeguard. Hindi ko rin akalain, hindi ko alam na natanggal. No? Kung meron akong pagkukulang, probably hindi ko alam na nag-approve kami ng BICAM, na-ratify namin, but without, sino man mag-aakalain, babaguhin pa yun, di ba? So, that was the reason. That's why, if you will ask me yung train 2 na pinopropose
Yes.
economic managers, that will have a hard time. A tough time because we feel that there was mental dishonesty of sorts no, sa pagkakatanggal ho nung safeguard na yun na upon the recommendation of economic managers. Tapos now, going back to the current issue at hand, nung nakita ho namin na tumataas ang inflation, umabot ng 6.7 months ago, we were also worried. Because we want the President, the administration, the government to succeed. Pero kung natakot kami, baka mag-capital flight, no? Na magkaroon na ng riots in the streets pag nagtuloy-tuloy. So 8 of us went to see the President. Ang pinaka-main agenda namin was this, yung train law, kung pwedeng i-suspend muna yung second round
Yes.
come January. So, we met for almost 2 hours and the economic managers, they were just listening. Sabi namin, kami, nakakausap namin taong bayan.
Yes.
Di ba? Hindi rin natin alam, sabi ko, hindi naman namin kayo inaano na tumaas ang crude oil price na nagsabay dito. No? So, it was not entirely because of trade, kaya lang nagsabay. No? But, we were so happy nung pagtapos namin, galing kami Malacanang, kasi pumayag ang Pangulo na talagang ipagpaliban na yung second round of excise taxes this coming
Yeah.
January.
But sir, the reverse happened.
Yes. Last week, nakakita ko sa feeds na upon recommendation of economic managers, ay itutuloy na rin. Yung,
Obviously, they did not listen to you.
Opo. I'm disappointed also because I feel that they have to practice sensitivity.
Exactly.
Sila po hindi na nakakausap ang taong bayan, kami po nakakausap namin araw-araw. Kami ang pinupuntahan, alam namin ang pulso. And the President was already convinced at that time. Bakit nila binago po ito? Bakit nila nirekomenda sa Pangulo? Gumanda ang presyo ng crude oil price sandali. But will that be stable for the rest of the year? Are we sure that this will be stable? Eh paano kung nag-spike uli? Eh paano? Eh tapos na-implement na. Di ba? Ma'am, ngayon na nakaka-adjust na ang taong bayan because of the trade law, because of the high rising fuel prices. Nakaka-adjust sa kahit papano eh. Di ba? Eh ngayon, bigla mo naman sasakali na naman na ngayon kahit papano nakakasanay na. Pahingahin naman natin ang taong bayan. Yun lang ang sa amin. Kasi kami nilalapitan nila eh. Kami rin, kung kami nararamdaman namin yung crunch,
Exactly.
yung bigat, eh paano pa yung ordinaryong mamamayan? Di ba?
Tama po.
And ma'am, nasa Facebook page ko, pinost ko po yun, I will post it again. The apprehensions that I raised during the train debates. Eh lahat po yun nangyari ngayon eh. Hindi ho kami nagkulang. No? But I was convinced because of the safeguards na unfortunately natanggal. So, again, I appeal this time to the economic managers na pahingayin naman natin ating mga kababayan. Ngayon na medyo nakaka-adjust na. Eh, wag naman natin sila sakalin. No? Our economy will be better kung may purchasing power sila, mas marami sila mabibili, mas stimulate economic growth kaysa naman maging restricted na o prohibitive.
Yeah, thank you for your candidness, Senator. Yung pong panghuling mensahe niyo po sa ating mga manonood sa buong Central Luzon, Senator.
Ma'am Sonia, salamat sa pagkakatuto. I'd like to thank also CLTV for this opportunity na makausap ang ating mga kababayan sa buong Central Luzon. Ako'y nagpapasalamat unang-una sa inyo pong naging suporta sa akin for the past 6 years. Ang bilis ng mabilis yung panahon. Parang
Mataas
kailan
po yung nakuha niyo ditong boto nung
Opo.
nakaraan.
Ay, ako'y nagpapasalamat kay Nanay, kay Governor Pineda sa kanya naging suporta sa akin. Especially dito sa universal healthcare dahil talaga napaka-particular niya sa health system. So marami rin ako napulot sa kanya rito, no. Ang pangako ko po noong 2013 ay guminhawa ang buhay natin mga kababayan sa pagkakapasa ng Universal Healthcare Program, Department of Human Settlements at iba pa. Ay natutuwa ko na parang isang pagtupad na rito sa isang pangako sa ating mga kababayan. Pero siguro ang pagkakaiba, ang isa pang pinagmamalaki ko, ulitin ko po, na si Senator JB po, yung tiwalang ibinigay niyo sa akin kailanman, hindi ko po yan babaliin. Hindi ko po yan sisirain. Kung kaya, after 18 years in being in public service, wala ho akong skandalo. Kailanman, hindi ako nasangkot sa anumang scam or graft and corruption issue. Kung meron man na-file sa akin, na-quit na ako. And I'm quite proud of my unblemished track record. No? So, Senator JB, hindi man ako artista, hindi man ako kasing sikat na iba. Simpleng likod bayan, tapat sa bayan, at malinis ang pangalan.
Maraming salamat sa
din
inyo,
po.
Senator. Dito po nagtatapos ang ating talakayan sa ngalan po ng ating naging bisita na si Senator J.V. Ejercito. Ako po si Sonia P. Soto at itong So to Speak, kung saan ang punot dulo ng bawat usapin ay ating lilinawin. Maraming salamat.